Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. Welcome to our Ask the Experts. In fact, our final Ask the Expert of 2022. I think this is absolutely the perfect way to round out the year as we move through the holiday season. So I will give participants just a few moments to hop on, but let me introduce myself. So my name is Erin Pellegrin. I am the Director of Culinary Nutrition. Many of you that have hopped onto our digital education events may have seen me as I am happy to host many of our events that we bring to you. And I am really happy to be here to talk about our topic today, which is mindfulness-based stress reduction with none other than the experts at the Myrna Brind Center with Jefferson University, but we'll get to that. So for those that are hopping on, thank you for watching us live on Facebook. Know that you are welcome to interact with us. You can ask questions in the chat as we connect with our expert. You're welcome to comment if this is a practice that you already work into your day or into your week. We would love to know how this has benefited you, but we'll also do quite a bit of learning. So I think this will be a great way to send us off as we round out the year. Just as a reminder, this video will live on our Her Library. So you can go to uniteforher.org/Her Library to view all of our digital education events, this one included. So if you happen to miss it, or if you have to hop off early, know that you can always come back and rewatch it. Hopefully, if time allows, we will do a little bit mindful practice as we wrap up today. So that'll give us something that we can take with us moving forward. As always, we like to thank our digital education sponsors because they support and help us bring events like this to you several times a month, every month. So big thanks to our presenting sponsor, West Pharmaceutical, as well as our supporting sponsors today, Daiichi Sankyo, Eli Lilly, and Merck. Huge supporters of Unite for Her and our education program. As I mentioned, for our Ask the Experts today, we'll be joined by Dr. Diane Riebel. She is of the Marcus Institute of Integrative Health at Jefferson University Hospital. For those that have active passports, she will be offering an online 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and you can use your active wellness passport for that. That program will begin in the beginning of February. It will use 3 of your squares. There will be a free intro session in the beginning of January, and we'll pop that email in the chat if you are interested in participating. That is also open to the public. So for those outside of our Unite for Her community, we absolutely welcome you to hop in and join and do a little bit more learning about MBSR. So with that being said, let me introduce our expert today. So Dr. Diane Riebel is the director of the Myrna Brind Center for Mindfulness at the Marcus Institute of Integrative Health at Thomas Jefferson University Hospital and clinical associate professor in the Department of Integrative Medicine at Jefferson Medical College. She co-founded the Mindfulness-Based Stress Reduction Program at Jefferson in 1996 and has been teaching MBSR for more than 25 years to patients, medical students, healthcare professionals, school teachers, as well as those living in long-term care facilities and homeless shelters. In addition to her passion for teaching mindfulness, she studies the physiologic effects and health outcomes of mindfulness training, and her research is published and widely cited in both scientific journals and the popular press. Dr. Riebel is co-author of the book Teaching Mindfulness, A Practical Guide for Clinicians and Educators, and she's co-edited the book Resources for Teaching Mindfulness, an International Handbook. So please join me in welcoming our expert today, Dr. Diane Riebel. Dr. Riebel, thank you so much for having us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a delight to be here.
We're so thankful for hopping on with us and sharing your long expertise and knowledge about MBSR. So we are so grateful to have you as a Unite for Her partner. Wonderful.
Yes, I'm happy to.
And
by the way, you can call me Diane.
Oh, okay, Diane.
Okay.
Let's jump right in because I think one of the most common questions we get is really just what is mindfulness? When we hear that word so often. I think it's really a buzzword these days, but what actually is mindfulness?
Mindfulness is awareness of what is happening in the present moment. Another way of saying it is present moment awareness. Really paying attention to what is happening in the here and now. And also the type of attention that is brought into the moment is one of openness, receptivity, curiosity, care, kindness. So it's really being open to experience. I do want to mention that we all have the innate ability to be mindful. It is a human capacity. And I think everyone knows that the moment when they're just fully present, maybe it's a time out in nature and a beautiful scene and you're really present for that, or music and you're present for that, or a loved one who is speaking to you and you're really fully present and aware of what's happening. So it is a natural human capacity. However, most of the time, our minds do not necessarily stay in the present moment and what's happening. Maybe you've noticed that. I certainly have noticed it.
It's hard.
It's right. In general, our minds time travel, and they time travel to the past, to what has happened, what could have, should have, all kinds of things, or kind of move forward to what's going to happen, or the to-do list, or the catastrophic thoughts of what could happen later. So with mindfulness, what we do is we learn specific practices to help us to bring the mind into the present moment, to notice when it is wandering and into different thoughts about past or future, and come present.
I'm glad you mentioned the acknowledgement of, we're often living in the past or thinking about it or in the future. So, for someone that may be interested in starting this mindfulness practice, it sounds like it's pretty normal if during at least our initial practice, our mind starts to wander. Because I know for me, it's really hard to get myself out of the what's coming next. What do I have to be ready for? What's my, and to stay in the present. So is that a common thing that happens? We're here, but then we're quickly somewhere else.
It's incredibly common. In fact, it is natural, totally natural. It's what the mind does. And this is where the attitudes of curiosity, kindness, care come in. And that are so important, because when you do begin the practice, one of the things you're going to notice right away is, wow, I was following my breath, or I was doing a body scan, paying attention to, my body, and my mind went off. And it's very easy to then start being judgmental with yourself. Oh, what's the matter with me? I can't stay in the moment. I have this, whatever.
Yeah.
Yes. All of our automatic patterns start showing them to ourselves. And the good news is we see them for what they are. It's just an automatic pattern. And rather than kind of being harsh and beating ourselves up, we're like, oh yeah, big surprise. That's the way it works. Come back into the moment without giving ourselves a hard time.
Wow.
And we do that over and over again. And in doing that, number one, it does train the mind to stay more present with what's happening. And equally as important, it really helps us to be more kind and compassionate with ourselves.
Okay.
Here goes my dog. I mentioned this in the beginning. And no doubt there's always something that arises, and what we do in our classes, and it's not so easy, but is to kind of see if we can let that be more in the background and then focus more in the foreground of what you want to focus on. So I invite people to do that the best that we can And I certainly hope that he's so little, you would not believe this bark to come out of this
That comes from this little
little
animal.
dog.
Well, this is a good practice. I think this is actually the perfect practice in mindfulness for all of us, for sort of channeling on what our focus is today. So it's a good practice for all of us. So with that being said, we've learned a little bit about what mindfulness is. So I guess on the flip side, what is mindfulness not? Because I know that there's also probably some things we see on social media that we're like, is this mindfulness? Do I have to do that? So what is it not?
So first, let me say that what it's not a relaxation practice, even though relaxation is often a byproduct of mindfulness and being mindful. Can you hear me over this?
Yes. There's quite a bark to that little,
our
little friend there.
So here we go with what we can and can't control. I said to you beforehand, I hope the dog doesn't bark, but here we go. So it's not a relaxation practice, even though relaxation is a byproduct often. So when we're mindful, it's about being aware. So we might be aware, like I am right now, that I'm a little tense listening to this barking, that I'm a little bit not happy that it's happening in the midst of this. And that I'm thrilled to be here. All of that's happening, right? So when you're aware, you might be aware that you're anxious or calm or happy or sad. It's opening to the full range of human experience with, again, as much receptivity, care, and kindness as possible.
Okay.
And if you want my best.
I was going to say, if you want to grab your little friend, Diane, I feel like many of us would like to see this cute little friend of yours.
At some point in time. Right now, he's running back and forth from one window to another, barking.
I love that. That's okay. We've all been there. So to really hone in on mindfulness-based stress reduction, the MBSR, and the program that you lead, how does that differ from just general mindfulness practice? Is that a particular division of overall mindfulness? What is that specifically?
So mindfulness-based stress reduction is an actual program. It's an 8-week program. It's a group program where you learn various mindfulness practices. So the core of the program is educational and skill building. So it's not group therapy or anything like that. It is therapeutic in the fact that it's very helpful in many ways. And the community that gathers to learn is very wonderful in collectively helping one another grow and learn these practices. And there are many different mindfulness practices that one learns in MBSR.
Okay.
I don't know.
We're doing a great job, Diane. So the benefits that come from MBSR, right? Is it something that, we learn through this online program, or for initiating our own MBSR practice, and we can take this along with us moving forward? You spoke a little bit about, relaxation is a byproduct of it, but what are some of those benefits that a person could look to learn from your online program, from initiating their own practice?
So there's a very great deal of scientific evidence and research that has been done with people participating in MBSR that actually show that it really reduces anxiety, reduces depression, reduces pain, improves vitality and quality of life. And these are the kinds of things that can happen. Of course, it doesn't happen with everyone, but in general, we do see this happen with people who participate. And then once they And the program, and there has been follow-up studies, many of the positive effects that took place during the 8 weeks can be maintained afterward. And certainly people can take these practices and do them themselves. And they're both formal practices and informal practices. And what I mean by that is a formal practice is you set aside a certain amount of time to do a specific practice. But then there's informal practice, which is the rest of your life, which is being mindful when you're walking, being mindful when you're talking, being mindful when you're washing the dishes or taking a shower. These are things that get incorporated into day-to-day life, and people can take this with them once the program is complete. And
I
then
love that.
certainly I just want to say that we also offer to our graduates of mindfulness-based stress reduction ongoing sessions, free sessions that they can take. And that helps to support them as well after taking the 8-week program.
Yeah, I would imagine that just having that group, that continued sort of periodic check-in is just good to keep that practice going.
Yes, yes.
I love that. I love that. And I like that you called out how this is sort of a practice that, right, you may start off in a formal setting, but it starts to pop up in other moments of our day, in other experiences, so we can continue to bring this with us. I think that's where that is something that can resonate with a lot of us, just sort of that bringing that awareness to just, day-to-day things that can become more impactful, doing the dishes, taking a walk, whatever the case may be.
Yes, it's really about showing up more for your life.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
what it is.
I love that.
Showing up more for your life with, again, a more openness to your life, and also more compassion and kindness towards yourself, which then spills over to others. So it's not simply just about, I have to focus attention, on my breath or my body or my this or that.
Yeah.
It's what happens with respect to the attitudinal shifts that can take place when you practice mindfulness.
Wow. So you mentioned a little bit about timing, right? So for example, we have this 8-week timing, we've got some formal times moving forward. Is there, or I should say, when might someone, maybe that's just starting off, when might they start to see the benefit of this MBSR? Do they have to designate a certain amount of time before they start to reap the benefits? Or is it something that they might start to notice right away?
Right. So let me say that with our MBSR program, we do ask people to set aside 25 minutes a day to do a formal practice.
Okay.
And then we have them have guided practices, links to guided practices. And some people will come back after the first week of practice and start saying, yes, I'm noticing some benefits. And I'm also noticing how my mind wanders all the time. And then we just reassure them, well, that's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's very highly individual. But as the class progresses, more and more you start hearing the insights that people are getting and the changes that are happening. And often we hear, well, I don't notice it as much, but my husband's telling me I'm not as reactive, or my this,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that varies, but certainly throughout the course,
Mhm.
people tend to notice shifts and changes.
Little by
And take
little, I would
little by
imagine.
little.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in talking about the benefits, generally speaking, that a person may experience, let's hone in a little bit to the benefits that our patients, our participants of Unite for Her having a cancer diagnosis. What are some of the benefits that they may experience, or what do we see from the science that MBSR can be helpful for?
So again, there's some research that has shown benefits for people who have a cancer diagnosis. And again, decreased anxiety, decreased depression, um, improved vitality, since fatigue is often an issue. And so there's improvements in vitality and overall general quality of life. And then I do want to mention one study that came out that actually found that people taking MBSR who have been having fatigue and also what is called, brain fog, cognitive
Mhm.
issues,
Yes.
that after taking MBSR, that there was sustained improvements in cognitive abilities, that
Wow.
that the cognitive impairment that the people were expressing, all right,
Wow.
it improved. It improved their ability to pay attention, to focus their
Mhm.
attention. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I wanted to make sure I brought that up because I know that
Yeah,
is certainly very important to
absolutely.
people dealing with this. Yes.
It comes up a lot, uh, in conversation, just in general sharing and sort of frustration that, someone is still dealing with chemo fog or chemo brain or, just sort of that, just the frustration in day to day and trying to get that cognitive level back to their baseline. So it's good to know that initiating this can be one of the many techniques that can support their cognitive
Yes.
function. I think that's huge.
Yes. Yes. There's
Wonderful.
also some evidence of improved immune system function, and that's in general,
Mhm.
different populations, but as well also in people who have had a cancer diagnosis. Yes.
Wow. Wow. I think anything that we can do as a whole to support our immune system. I talk about it a lot from the food aspect, but we know, that close relationship between, our brain, our emotions, and our gut and our immune system so close. So really feeding that with MBSR. Yeah, I guess it makes sense. I love that. So let's talk about the different types of mindfulness practices. So, are there different types that participants will go through with your program? Is it something where a person can sort of figure out what different types of mindfulness practices work for them?
Yes. So I will say yes to both. So there are several different mindfulness practices that we teach in MBSR. We teach, for example, a body scan where you become aware of what's happening in your body. And again, keep in mind, it's about bringing care and attention, kind attention into the body.
Mhm.
That's one. Another is sitting practice, where it's following the breath and noticing what arises in the mind and keep focusing back on the breath. That's another. Um, then there's movement, mindful movement, gentle, very gentle, mindful stretching.
Mm,
There's mindful walking. There's mindful eating.
I love that.
Yes. And there is also mindful communication that we teach, which is mindful listening, mindful
Oh,
speech. And then specific practices to cultivate um, kindness and compassion practices as well.
wow.
So there's many different doors into the same awareness, if you will. So
Wow.
when we're going through the program, we ask people to practice all these different um, practices, and then they're on their own and choose what works best for them. Make the practice your own. Some people love mindful movement. They do not enjoy just sitting still. Other people love the sitting still, and others just love the compassion practices. So after the 8 weeks, it's really about them deciding what is really helpful for them, what supports them. Make the practice their own.
I love that. And yeah, and it's good to know that we all have options, right? There are, there's not one way, it's not this way
Right.
and the only way, but it's something that we can all find that practice that really speaks to us. Just like you said, some like movement, some like stillness. So I think that's even more enticing for us to really give it a try. And I would encourage those that might be watching us live on Facebook. If anyone incorporates a mindfulness or a practice into their day, we would love to hear how it's helped you. If anyone has taken classes, the MBSR classes, we would love to know how you feel about it or how it's helped you in the long term. But again, hopefully this is something that our participants, our community would consider joining with you and learning a little bit more about. One question that did come in from our community, Diane, was just about, and I think this is a question that we often ask with a lot of these different integrative therapies as they become more well-known, especially among the science, and we're starting to see the good supportive data. Is it covered by insurance? Is this type of therapy covered by insurance?
Yes, we do get this question a lot, and it's an important question. Right now, in general, MBSR is not covered by insurance. It is considered educational, more than therapy. Again, it's not like a therapy or a group therapy.
Right.
But I do want to say, and I can speak for our program at our center, that we offer scholarships. So if anybody really is committed, wants to take the program, but is, the finances are prohibitive, then all they have to do is let us know, and we will do our very best to support them with some type of financial assistance.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's always good when we can do our best to make it accessible to everyone. And again, for those that have an active passport with Unite for Her, you are eligible to use 3 of your passport squares to join that 8-week session starting in February. So that is something that we are very happy to provide to you. So if anyone is interested, just let us know. And I will be popping the email for those, whether you're in our Unite for Her community or in the general public. I will pop that into the chat to reach out. That email address would be mbsr@jefferson.edu for anyone that is interested. So with that being said, Diane, Jackie says, I do a lot of calm and headspace. I do wish all of this was covered under insurance. I love the holistic medicine. Absolutely. Yeah. Hopefully one day we'll get to a place where this will be included and then accessible to all of us.
Yes, that is a hope, definitely. And we're working on it.
Yeah. It's all the science and good data that I think will continue to move us forward in that space.
Yes, it will.
Good. Thank you for sharing, Jackie. So with that, so why don't we wrap, Diane, with just a few moments, if you wouldn't mind leading us through a mindfulness practice, just to give us a little sample of what the online program is and perhaps something, again, that we can take with us over the next few weeks.
Sounds wonderful. So let's just take a minute and bring your attention into your body. All right, so really notice the body sitting, if it's sitting or lying down, in whatever position it's in. Perhaps you can really notice where you make contact, maybe the back of the legs or your back. And just realizing right now that you're being supported by what it is that you are resting on, and also by the ground beneath you. And if you can sense into that support and that sense of being held in place, perhaps you don't need to hold so much in your body right now. And just simply notice what arises when you hear me say, perhaps you don't need to hold so much in your body right now. Are there any areas that can soften just a little bit? Perhaps around the eyes, the jaw is holding, just allowing the jaw to drop down just a bit. Perhaps you can sense into the shoulders, and if it feels right, allowing them to move down and back or round and round, even in movement, if that would help in this moment to support you. And then just beginning to notice the sensations of breathing. Wherever you notice the breath most strongly right now, maybe an air coming in and out of the nostrils, or rising and falling of the chest or abdomen. And just placing your attention there, and it's a gentle attention, just noticing an in-breath and an out-breath, not needing to change anything, just noticing life-giving air coming and going. And you may very well notice thoughts coming as well, mind wandering. Again, it's not a problem. It's very natural. You just simply notice it and then just come back to an inhalation or an exhalation. And then whenever you're ready, just allow your awareness to expand to include a sense of the whole body right now. Just your whole body in this very moment. If your eyes are closed, gently allow them to open and open to the visual field. And at the same time, if you can, still stay in touch with the sense of your body, the support beneath you. And just open as much as you can to this very moment. So that's a brief practice that can help to shift out of automatic pilot, and at times can help us to center a bit more. So hopefully you'll be able to use some of this with the holiday season. And I certainly wish you a wonderful, wonderful holiday season. And I have been delighted to be here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
We appreciate you. And we are getting a lot of great comments in the chat just about different ways mindfulness has been incorporated into days, into acupuncture. Cynthia uses it during her acupuncture sessions. Another person is chiming in. They took your class in the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
Oh, long term. Love that.
Yes.
Oh,
So sweet.
I
And
love that.
remembering people saying lower blood pressure, lower pain, and they're still starting to, and listening to the tape. I still sometimes say tape instead of, first it was in the, when we first started, it was on tape. I see tape on my.
Oh my gosh.
Hi, Irene.
I love that. But
Yeah.
it just goes to show you this is something that truly can grow into, our lives and be part of it for decades to come. So this is something that I think we can all benefit from for sure. And Irene is a perfect example. Oh, I love that. Diane, thank you so much. We are so grateful for you spending your Thursday afternoon with us and just sharing and practicing with us. We appreciate you.
All right, one quick thing. Oh, no, I was going to get the dog, but he's off. Anyhow,
He's not ready for the camera.
No, at least he's quiet. Yes. Thank you. And thank you, Unite, for our wonderful organization. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. You are so welcome.
Take care.
And you too. And just as a reminder, again, they are offering an online 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program. It will be offered on Wednesdays at 2 different times beginning February 1st. For those that have an active Unite for Her passport, 3 squares, and you are able to participate in that program. If anyone is interested in diving a little bit more into that intro session, there will be a free session on January 5th starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, held on Zoom, and using that email in the chat, mbsr@jefferson.edu. You can email to inquire and to sign up. So hopefully you will join Diane and learn a little bit more about MBSR and how you can incorporate that moving forward. So that wraps up our Ask the Experts for today and for 2022. Again, I want to give a big thanks to our digital education sponsors for supporting our program, for supporting all of these important topics, and allowing us to connect with experts to share information, to our Unite for Her community. So big thanks to our presenting sponsor, West Pharmaceutical, as well as our supporting sponsors, Daiichi Sankyo, Eli Lilly, and Merck. Lots of thanks. As a reminder, this video will be available on our Her library as well as on our Facebook page. So hopefully you'll be able to come back and rewatch and enjoy your own mindfulness-based stress reduction practice on your own. So everybody stay healthy and stay well, and we will see you in the new year.